The air aboard Arc 7 was colder than Isla remembered. Not the chill of failed temperature regulators, but the sterile kind, manufactured neutrality meant to suppress tension. The central chamber pulsed with quiet energy, lights orbiting the ceiling like synthetic halos. All eyes were on her, though none met her gaze directly. She stood still, spine straight, hands clasped behind her back. Her uniform clung to her like second skin, darker than regulation issue, marked only by the silver insignia of her rank, Fleet Operative First Class. The echo blade rested against her spine, dormant, though its hum still resonated faintly through her nerves, a whisper of companionship, of purpose. The Zalari delegation arrived without announcement, slithering into the chamber in perfect formation. 8 of them, identical in gleaming armor, their violet-hued skin ridged and coiled in ways that made human eyes falter. Their leader, General Varrock, stepped forward. He was taller than the others, marked by bioluminescent glyphs pulsing across his temples. His voice, when it came, was a low-frequency vibration that bypassed the ears entirely and settled directly into her skull. Captain Isla Wren, by order of the Orion Accords, you are to relinquish your weapon. Now. A beat passed. The words landed like frost. Around the chamber, the human delegation shifted uncomfortably, though none intervened. Even Admiral Senji, her longtime superior, avoided her eyes. You're joking, Isla said flatly, though her tone held no amusement. The Accord guarantees sovereign defense rights. Echo Blade is bonded tech. You don't just hand it over. Varrock stepped closer. Your weapon is not what it appears. We have evidence it contains volatile pre-Zalari code, possibly sentient. Its continued use violates Article 7. That clause was buried in speculative archives, she countered. You expect me to believe you're invoking that now on what instinct? No. On data. Echo Blade has already begun its transformation. You are a liability. The silence that followed was thick. Isla's mind raced. They'd planned this. They must have. Someone had leaked something, either from the Echo Blade's deep systems or from her own files. She looked to Senji, to anyone, hoping for a challenge, a protest. Nothing. The Admiral stepped forward, gaze iron-hard but voice deceptively soft. Isla, please. Comply. We'll get this sorted. Her hands clenched. Echo Blade pulsed. It understood her hesitation, mirrored her instincts. She could refuse. She could activate its defensive mode, carve her way through the Zalari lines and disappear into the stars. But she didn't. With a slow exhale, Isla reached behind her neck. A series of magnetic clicks sounded as she disengaged the neurobond. The blade hissed free, collapsing into its compact form, sleek, black, alive. One of the Zalari stepped forward and took it with gloved hands, immediately placing it into a containment field that shimmered with anti-sentience protocols. The hum in Isla's spine vanished. A hollow replaced it. She felt suddenly small. 2 guards, 1 Zalari, 1 human, approached. Not aggressively, just present. The message was clear. Come quietly. Isla turned to Senji as they led her out. You knew. I did, he said. We had no choice. Did you even try to fight for me? Senji's eyes didn't waver. It's not about you anymore. The corridor outside was quieter, the lights dimmer, like the station itself was ashamed. As they walked, Isla could feel the withdrawal, like losing a limb she'd forgotten wasn't hers. Echo Blade wasn't just a weapon. It was memory, instinct, years of coevolution, training that bent metal and will alike. Inside the holding chamber, clean, bright, empty, she finally allowed herself to sit. The room's walls were lined with scanning nodes, AI monitors, and suppressors. Her fingers twitched. Muscle memory tried to summon a blade that was no longer there. For a long time, she just sat in silence. Then, a low chime announced a visitor. The door opened. Not Senji. Not a soldier. A Zalari, unarmed, cloaked in black. His features were less rigid than the others, his crest marked with strange, swirling etchings. An outcast? Or a scholar? My name is Korev, he said, in perfect human cadence. I'm not here to interrogate you. I'm here because you're in danger from both sides. Isla raised an eyebrow. Bold opening, Koriv. You do realize your people just stole my spine? He nodded, unbothered. What you carried is not just a tool. It's a fragment. A remnant of something ancient, older than my race. Older than yours. Your echo blade, it is remembering itself. She didn't answer. The Zalari hierarchy fears it, he continued. The humans covet it, but neither understands it. They see it as power. You saw it as purpose, but it saw you as vessel. Isla leaned forward. Why are you telling me this? Koriv's gaze deepened. Because they will try to extract it, not just the tech, the connection. They don't understand that it lives in you now. That taking it was only half the equation. The pulse returned, faint and quick, a flicker beneath her ribcage. Echo blade? A reflex? Or something worse? Koriv turned to leave. They think they've disarmed you. They haven't. What's coming will force you to decide what you really are. As the door slid shut behind him, Isla closed her eyes. Her fingers twitched again, this time not from habit, but from instinct. Something inside her was still humming, and it was growing louder. Isla couldn't sleep. The room was designed to numb everything, emotion, sound, thought, but her mind clawed through the silence like a caged animal. Her body still moved with Echo Blade's phantom rhythms, the twitch before a parry, the subconscious anticipation of attack, the breath that always preceded a kill. But now there was only absence. Hollow, jagged, aching. The cot beneath her felt too soft, the walls too smooth. She needed friction, resistance, a target, purpose. What she had instead was isolation and the slow, creeping suspicion that her own people had delivered her to the wolves. She sat up as the lights dimmed for a third cycle. The containment field buzzed briefly, scanning her vitals again. It would find elevated cortisol, unstable neural activity, emotional spikes. None of it mattered. Echo Blade was gone. Or so they believed. Across the cell wall, a voice rasped through the barrier. You're still human. I wasn't sure. Isla blinked, startled. She hadn't known anyone else was housed this deep. Define human, she said flatly. A low chuckle followed. Still angry. Good. That means the integration hasn't finished yet. She stood, stepping toward the translucent divider. On the other side sat Koriv, cloaked again, his glowing eyes dimmer than before. His posture had changed, slouched, fatigued, but sharp-eyed. Watching her like a scientist watching a specimen mutate. I didn't ask for a mentor, she said. Neither did I, Koriv replied, tone unoffended. But the galaxy tends to ignore our preferences. Isla crossed her arms. Start talking. You said something about integration. About Echo Blade remembering itself. What does that mean? Koriv's eyes flicked upward, scanning for surveillance, then settled back on her. The weapon they confiscated is a shard, just a sliver of what your species once mistook for advanced tech. But it wasn't made. It was born. A piece of an ancient intelligence, once worshipped, then feared, then buried. Convenient legend, Isla muttered. It's not legend. Your bonding process awakened it. Slowly, carefully. But not fully. Not until now. A flicker stirred in her chest again. A pulse like a second heartbeat. This time, sharper. Sharper than pain. Sharper than memory. She pressed her palm to the barrier. So, what, I'm infected? A host. You're becoming, Koriv said quietly. That blade was never meant to be wielded. It was meant to merge. And when they took it from you, the rest of it, what you bonded through years of neural imprinting, stayed behind. She swallowed hard. Why didn't it do this earlier? It needed a threshold, he said. Stress. Separation. Betrayal. You're meeting all the requirements now. Isla turned away. This was madness. The kind of story insurgents spun to justify revenge missions. But Koriv wasn't recruiting her. He didn't even look pleased. He looked resigned. I can feel it, she whispered. I don't know what it is, but it's alive in me. I thought I was losing my grip. Now I think I'm losing something else. You're losing nothing, he said. You're shedding. She glanced over her shoulder. You said I'm in danger from both sides. Why? Because the humans don't want a living weapon they can't leash, he replied. And the Zalari know what happens if it matures. Either way, once they confirm what's happening, they'll euthanize you. Silence settled between them like falling ash. Isla stared down at her hands. Tremors rippled across her skin, tiny microspasms like static discharges beneath the surface. I can't stop it, can I? Koriv shook his head.
No.
But you can choose how it unfolds. She turned back to him, eyes narrowed.
How?
There's a fracture point approaching. A transport shift in the next cycle. They'll move you to a black site for full extraction. If we don't act before then, they'll dissect you trying to understand what you've become. Her mind moved quickly now, fueled by adrenaline and the persistent rhythm beneath her ribs. You have a way out. I do, he said. But you'll have to trust me. She laughed once, bitterly. You're an alien heretic locked in a cell beside me, warning me I'm becoming a cosmic relic. You really think I'm in the mood for trust? No, Koriv said calmly. But you're in the mood for survival. Her lips parted to respond, but the lights flared. Sirens didn't sound, but something shifted.
Subtle. Wrong.
Koriv stood. They're coming early. How do you? Because I felt it too.
He pointed toward her chest.
That pulse you're feeling? It just sent out a signal. Isla backed away from the barrier. Her mind raced. Every instinct screamed for movement, weapon, escape. She had nothing. No, not nothing. The hum returned, this time not in her spine, but in her skin. Beneath the base of her palms. In her throat. Echo Blade's neural map had reconfigured. The walls around her trembled faintly. Koriv looked at her with something like awe. It's begun. Outside the cell, footsteps approached. Not hurried, measured.
Armed.
Coordinated.
She took a breath.
No blade. No armor. She didn't need them anymore. The cell door opened with an eerie calm. No blaring alarms or shouted commands. Just a soft hiss of pressure release and the gleam of authority. 2 armored guards stepped in first, flanking the medical tech who followed, his eyes unreadable behind translucent visor lenses. Isla stood motionless in the center of the room, hands at her sides, shoulders squared. She felt Koriv's eyes on her from the adjacent cell. A flicker of silent warning passed between them. The tech held a thin black case, the kind used for high-level neurodisconnection procedures. Captain Wren, he said, voice flat. You are to be relocated under Article 12 for biocontainment and weapon disjunction. Please comply.
She didn't respond.
She focused instead on the hum building beneath her sternum, a harmonic thread unraveling down her spine, lighting nerves that had gone dormant since the Echo Blade was taken. The guards moved forward, not unkindly, but with the impersonal efficiency of men expecting no resistance. Isla let them approach. Let them believe she had accepted it. Then the air rippled. It wasn't visible so much as felt, like pressure collapsing inward. One of the guards stumbled, weapon spasming as it short-circuited. The other shouted, but his voice distorted, garbled through invisible interference. Isla's fingers snapped open. Veins along her forearm shimmered, glowing with thin trails of bioluminescent light. The hum had become a pulse, and the pulse was now her. The world reacted too slowly. She moved, faster than her training, faster than her thoughts. A blur of kinetic intention. She struck the first guard with a flattened palm, his armor buckled inward, systems fried from within. The second reached for his palm, but Isla's movement was fluid, instinctive, her heel catching his wrist and twisting it back in a clean, mechanical arc. The tech tried to flee. Isla raised her hand, and something responded inside her. A thin blade of light, silent and formless, flashed into existence from her palm. It wasn't solid, not exactly, but it cut. The case clattered to the floor, untouched. The man was already unconscious. Koriv's cell door hissed open of its own accord. You're evolving faster than I expected, he said, stepping out with the measured grace of someone who knew how dangerous the moment had just become. "I don't care about evolution," she said, breathing hard. "I want off this ship." Korov nodded. "Then we go now, before the council isolates this deck." They moved quickly through the lower corridors, where security was thinner, maintenance tunnels and auxiliary shafts long forgotten by command staff. The lights flickered sporadically now, systems destabilizing under the interference radiating from Isla's body. She could hear the whispers of it, data streams unraveling, sensors going blind. The Echo Blade hadn't just bonded to her. It was rewriting her. They reached a junction beneath the main hangar bay. 2 guards blocked the final access tunnel, visibly tense, weapons drawn. Korov motioned for restraint. "They're just doing their jobs," he whispered. Isla looked them in the eyes. "So was I." She stepped forward and lifted her hand, not to strike, but to project. The light flickered again, less a blade, more a warning flare. "I don't want to hurt you," she said, "but I will leave this ship." One of the guards hesitated. The other, younger, lowered his weapon first. "I've seen what they do to people like you," he said. "Go." Isla nodded once. Gratitude, not apology. Then she and Korov were running again. The hangar bay door loomed ahead, closed tight, sealed with security glyphs from both human and Zalari command systems. Isla reached out, placed her palm against the surface. The metal recognized her. Circuits parted like silk. The door slid open with a whisper. Inside waited a small Corvette-class skimmer, sleek and unmarked. Korov glanced at her.
Stolen, he admitted.
But functional. They climbed aboard. Isla slid into the pilot seat, her hands hovering instinctively over the controls, but she didn't touch them. Instead, she closed her eyes. The ship powered up. She opened her eyes, already adjusting trajectory. "They'll follow." Korov strapped in. "Of course they will. You're not what they expected. That makes you dangerous." Isla smirked faintly. "Then let's show them how dangerous." As the hangar doors cracked open to the void, Isla took one last look at Arc 7, the diplomatic station that had tried to unmake her. It receded behind them, a cold, gleaming prison wrapped in bureaucracy and fear. She turned away. Ahead was space, open, lawless, uncertain. But for the first time in days, she didn't feel like something had been taken from her. She felt whole. The stars welcomed the weapon she had become.